Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, please repeat Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ॐ नमो
ॐ
भगवते
भगवते
वासुदेवाय
वासुदेवाय
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ॐ
ॐ
नमो भगवते
भगवते
वासुदेवाय
वासुदेवाय
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ॐ
ॐ
नमो
नमो
भगवते
भगवते
वासुदेवाय
वासुदेवाय.
Okay, so we are on text 17, is that correct? I'm not sure if anything was done after that. It's been almost a week since we met, since we did this, I think. Anybody knows? This is where we're at. This is what I remember. At least this is what I ended with. So
Uh,
unless Mahotsa did any reading, this
yes,
is it.
Prabhuji. Mosa Prabhuji did with I think slok number 23
Oh, okay.
till 23.
Okay. All right. And we'll go to text number 23. Let's see. How do we move this? Oh. He did 23, so we have to do 24.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, please repeat. Parthiva dharuno dhumas
पार्थिवाधारुणो धूम
tasmadagnistrayimayah
तस्मादग्नित्रिमयः
तस्मादग्नित्रयीमयः
tamasastu rajastasmad
तमसस्तुरजस्तस्मात्
तमसस्तूरजस्तस्मात्
satvam yad brahma darshanam.
सत्त्वं
त्वं
यद्ब्रह्मदर्शनम्
यद्ब्रह्मदर्शनम्.
Okay, so word-to-word meanings. Parthivat from earth, dharunaha firewood, dhumaha smoke, tasmat from that, agnihi fire, trayi Vedic sacrifices, mayaha made of, tamasaha in the mode of ignorance, to but, rajaha the mode of passion, tasmat from that. Hold on, move this. Okay, better. All right. Okay. Rajaha, the mode of passion. Tasmat, from that. Sattvam, the mode of goodness. Yet, which. Brahma, the absolute truth. Darshanam, realization. Okay, translation. Yash, you want to read?
Yes, Guruji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Firewood is a transformation of earth, but smoke is better than the raw wood, and fire is still better, for by fire we can derive the benefits of superior knowledge, truth through Vedic sacrifice. Similarly, passion, rajas, is better than ignorance, tamas, but goodness, sattva, is best because by goodness one can come to realize the absolute truth. Purport. Srila Prabhupada. As explained above, one can get release from the conditioned life of material existence by devotional service to personality of Godhead. It is further comprehended herein that one has to rise to the platform of the mode of goodness, sattva, so that one can be eligible for the devotional service of the Lord. But if there are impediments impediments on the progressive path, anyone, even from the platform of tamas, can gradually rise to the sattva platform by the expert direction of spiritual master. Sincere candidates must therefore approach an expert spiritual master for such a progress march, and the bona fide expert spiritual master is competent to direct a disciple from any stage of life, tamas, rajas, or sattva.
Okay, thank you. Neeraj, would you like to read?
Sure, Hare Krishna. It is a mistake, therefore, to consider that worship of any quality or any form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is equally beneficial. Except Vishnu, all separated forms are manifested under the conditions of material energy, and therefore the forms of material energy cannot help anyone to rise to the platform of sattva, which alone can liberate a person from material bondage. The uncivilized state of life or the life of the lower animals is controlled by the mode of tamas. The civilized life of a man with a passion for various types of material benefits is the stage of rajas. The rajas stage of life gives a slight clue to the realization of the absolute truth in the forms of fine sentiments in philosophy, art, and culture with moral and ethical principles, but the mode of sattva is a still higher stage of material quality, which actually helps one in realizing the absolute truth. In other words, there is a qualitative difference between the different kinds of worshipping methods as well as the respective results derived from the predominating deities, namely Brahma, Vishnu, and Hara.
Okay. Hmm. Text 25. Bhejire munayotagre
Vejire
Je
munyo
agre
agre
bhagavantam madhokshajam
Bhagavan
भगवन्तं मदोक्षजम्
madhokshajam
tattvam vishuddham kshemaya
सत्त्वं
Sattvam
sattvam
विशुद्धं
Vishuddham
क्षेमाय
kshemaya
kalpante yenutaniha.
Kalpante
कल्पन्ते
Yutani.
नूतानिह
Okay. Deji rendered service unto Munayaha, the sages, Atha Das, Agre, previously, Bhagavantam, unto the personality of Godhead, Adhokshajam, the transcendent, Sattvam, existence, Vishuddham, above the three modes of nature, Kshemaya, to derive the ultimate benefit, Kalpante, deserve, Ye, those, Anu, follow, Tan, those, Iha, in this material world. Translation, Narayan.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yes. Previously, all the great sages rendered service unto the personality of Godhead due to his existence above the three modes of material nature. They worshipped him to become free from material conditions and thus derive the ultimate benefit. Whoever follows such great authorities is also eligible for liberation from the material world. Purport. The purpose of performing religion is neither to profit by material gain nor to get the simple knowledge of discerning matter from spirit. The ultimate aim of religious performance is to release oneself from material bondage and regain the life of freedom in the transcendental world, where the personality of Godhead is the supreme person. Laws of religion, therefore, are directly enacted by the personality of Godhead, and except for the Mahajans or the authorized agents of the Lord, no one knows the purpose of religion. There are 12 particular agents of the Lord who know the purpose of religion, and all of them render transcendental service unto Him. Persons who desire their own good may follow these Mahajans and thus attain the supreme benefit.
Hare Krishna. Text 26. Mumukshavo ghora rupan
मुमुक्षवो
mumukshavo
घोररूपाम्
gahora rupam
tva bhutapati natha
हित्वा
va bhutapati
भूतपतिं
nataha
narayana katha shantha
नारायणकलाशान्त
Shanta
bhajantyanusuyavaha.
भजन्त्यनूयः
Mumukshava, persons desiring liberation, ghora, horrible, ghastly, rupan, forms like that, hitva, rejecting, bhutapatin, demigods, atha, for this reason, narayana, personality of Godhead, kalaha, plenary portion, shantaha, all blissful, bhajanti, do worship, he certainly, anasuyavaha, non-envious. Sunil?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. He's driving Prabhuji. Sunil Prabhuji. Can
Okay,
I read Prabhuji?
yeah, please, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Those who are serious about liberation are certainly non-envious and they respect all. Yet they reject the horrible and ghastly forms of the demigods and worship only the all blissful forms of Lord Vishnu and his planetary portions. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, who is the original person of Vishnu categories, expands himself in two different categories, namely integrated planetary portions and separated parts and parcels. Planetary portions and separated parts and parcels. The separated parts and parcels are the servitors, and the integrated planetary portions of Vishnu Tattvas are
Plenary.
the worship
Plenary.
planetary portions. Sorry, Hare Krishna. Integrated planetary portions of Vishnu Tattvas are the worshipful objects of service. All demigods who are empowered by the Supreme Lord are also separated parts and parcels. They do not belong to the categories of Vishnu Tattva. The Vishnu Tattvas are living beings equally as powerful as the original form of the personality of Godhead, and they display different categories of power in consideration of different times and circumstances. The separated parts and parcels are powerful by limitation. They do not have unlimited power like the Vishnu Tattvas. Therefore, one should never classify the Vishnu Tattvas or the planetary portions of Narayana, the personality of Godhead, in the same categories with the parts and parcels. If anyone does so, he becomes at once an offender by the name Pasandi. In the age of Kali, many foolish persons commit such unlawful offenses and equalize the two categories. The separated
Okay.
parts and parcels have
Yeah.
different portions in the estimation of material powers, and some of them are like Kala Bhairava, Smasana Bhairava, Sani, Mahakali, and Chandika. These demigods are worshipped mostly by those who are in the lowest categories of the mode of darkness or ignorance. Other demigods like Brahma, Shiva, Surya, Ganesha, and many similar deities are worshipped by men in the mode of passion, urged on by the desire for material enjoyment. But those who are actually situated in the mode of goodness, Sattva-guna of material nature, worship only Vishnu Tattvas. Vishnu Tattvas are represented by various names and forms, such as Narayana, Damodara, Vamana, Govinda, and Adhokshaja.
Jai. Thank you,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Priyam, are you available to read?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare
The
Krishna.
qualified Brahmanas worship the Vishnu Tattvas, represented by the Shaligram Shala. And some of the higher castes, like Kshatriyas and Vaishyas, are also generally worship the Vishnu Tattvas. Highly qualified Brahmanas, situated in the mode of goodness, have no grudges against the mode of worship of others. They have all respect for all other demigods. Even though they may look ghastly like Kala Bhairava or Mahakali, they know very well that these horrible features of the Supreme Lord are all different servitors of the Lord under different conditions. Yet they reject the worship of both horrible and attractive features of the demigod. And they concentrate only the forms of Vishnu because they are serious about liberation from the material conditions. The demigods, even to the stage of Brahma, the supreme of all demigods, cannot offer liberation to anyone. Hiranyakashipu underwent a severe type of penance to become eternal in life. But his worshipful deity Brahma could not satisfy him with such blessings. Therefore, Vishnu and none else is called Mukti Pada, or the personality of Godhead, who can bestow upon us mukti, liberation. The demigods, being like other living entities in the material world, are liquidated at the time of inhalation of the material structure. They are themselves unable to get liberation, and what to speak of giving liberation to their devotees. The demigod can award the worshippers some temporary benefit only, not the ultimate one. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Should I continue or oh yeah, one
Yeah,
line.
just
Oh,
finish
one.
this paragraph. Yeah.
Yeah. It is for this reason only that candidates for liberation deliberately reject the worship of demigods, although they have no disrespect for any of them. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Text 27. rajastamah prakritayah
रजस्तमः प्रकृतयः
shamashila bhajanti vai
Shamashi Vai
pitrabhuta prasheshadin
पितृभूतप्रजेशादिन्
Nadi
Shri Aishwarya Prajepsavaha
श्रियैश्वर्यप्रजेत्सवः
Kashma
Rajaha, the mode of passion, Tamaha, the mode of ignorance, Prakritayaha, of that mentality, Samashilaha, of the same categories, Bhajanti, do worship. Why? Actually, Pitra, the forefathers, Bhuta, other living beings, Prajesha, Adin, controllers of cosmic administration, Shriya, enrichment, Aishwarya, wealth and power, Praja, progeny, Eep, Savaha, so desiring. Translation, Bhagyesh, can you read?
Yes, Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare
Those who are in the mode of passion and ignorance worship those in the same category, namely the forefathers, other living beings, and the demigods who are in charge of cosmic activities, for they are urged by a desire to be materially benefited with the women, wealth, power, and progeny. Purport: There is no need to worship demigods of whatsoever category if one is serious about going back to Godhead. In the Bhagavad Gita 7.20 text 23, it is clearly said that those who are mad after material enjoyment approach the different demigods for temporary benefits which are meant for men with a poor fund of knowledge. We should never desire to increase the depth of material enjoyment. Material enjoyment should be accepted only up to the point of the bare necessities of life and not more or less than that. To accept more material enjoyment means to bind oneself more and more to the miseries of material existence. More wealth, more women, and false aristocracy are some of the demands of the materially disposed man because he has no information of the benefit derived from Vishnu worship. By Vishnu worship, one can derive benefit in this life as well as in life after death. Forgetting these principles, foolish people who are after more wealth, more wives, and more children worship various demigods. The aim of life is to end the miseries of life and not to increase them. Hare Krishna.
Jai Hare Krishna. Okay, I guess I'll read now. For material enjoyment, there is no need to approach the demigods. The demigods are but the servants of the Lord. As such, they are duty bound to supply necessities of life in the form of water, air, light, air, etc. One should work hard and worship the Supreme Lord by the fruits of one's hard labor for existence, and that should be the motto of one's life. One should be careful to execute occupational service with faith in God in the proper way, and that will lead one gradually on the progressive march back to Godhead. Lord Sri Krishna, when he was personally present at Vrajadham, stopped the worship of the demigod Indra and advised the residents of Vraj to worship by their business and to have faith in God. Worshipping the multi demigods for material gain is practically a perversity of religion. This sort of religious activity has been condemned in the very beginning of the Bhagavatam as Kaitava Dharma. There is only one religion in the world to be followed by one and all, and that is the Bhagavata Dharma, or the religion which teaches one to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead and no one else. Okay, Hare Krishna. So we've all taken turns reading. So I will stop reading here. Any questions, comments? Yash?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Yes.
Prabhuji, I have two questions. One is related to today's reading, and one I had question when Motsa Prabhu was giving class, but because he was to give another class in Los Angeles, so or maybe due to internet connection, it stopped. So I had that question as well.
Okay, go on.
So, Prabhuji, today's question about which we read, Satagun, Tamagun, Rajagun, three modes of material nature, people worship according to the, like, so few days ago, I was cooking and one of my friend who also joined the lecture and he was asking me, like Rupa Goswami also said about Ganesha, and because Srila Prabhupada didn't emphasize on it much, so we don't do that. But the same hand, as we read, it's a sattva guna. So why it's like in ISKCON they don't say like don't do like don't worship demigod, like worshipping in the sense, okay, we are doing Hare Krishna Mahamandra, but we have an affection toward like for instance, Ganeshji. So why we should not chant one round of him as well? Like we are doing, like for instance, we are doing 16 rounds, or we are spending 6 hours for Krishna. So why not 5 minutes for him, Ganeshji, and whomever they like?
Well, the exact quote from this purport is that other demigods like Brahma, Shiva, Surya, Ganesha, and many other similar deities are worshipped by men in the mode of passion. So no, worship of Ganesh is not in the mode of goodness. Now, um, so we have affection for the demigods, that's okay. We have affection for our parents also. That doesn't mean we have to do arati for them every day. What basically we have to understand that there is a difference between worship and respect. Affection can be there, respect can be there, but worship is different. So then the argument, well, don't we worship our parents? Doesn't Vedic culture teach us to worship our parents? Yes, but worship of the parents is not done through Abhishek. Abhishek is for Krishna. Abhishek is for the deity. That is worship. Worship of the parents is done by pleasing them. And if one understands who Ganesh is, if one understands who Shiva is, they will understand that they are also actually devotees of Krishna. And devotees of Krishna want to see other devotees of Krishna worship Krishna, not them. And the only exception to this is the Guru, because one has to worship the Guru, because from the Guru one gets knowledge of Krishna, and Krishna instructs devotees to worship the Guru. Therefore, the Guru accepts that worship, even though personally he does not want such a worship. He accepts it on behalf of Krishna, because Krishna wants to see his pure devotee, especially the Guru, who is so compassionate, who is teaching the conditioned living entities Krishna consciousness. He wants him to be worshipped because he's performing such a selfless task. On the other hand, other devotees in general, they don't like to be worshipped. And so the demigods, even though they may be devoted, they have posts. And in those posts, they understand that their post is for the conditioned living entities who will worship them out of material desires to execute their material desires and continue in the cycle of birth and death. And they will fulfill those desires of their worshippers. However, if somebody is a devotee and he understands the purpose of life and he understands that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then such demigods are actually pleased when they see such a devotee worshipping Krishna and not them. This is the point to understand, that worship is reserved, worship in the truest sense is reserved for Krishna. Everybody else is worshipped by pleasing them through actions. Krishna is also pleased with worship through one's actions, but that's not enough. One has to chant Krishna's name, one has to worship Krishna, one has to engage in actual worship of Krishna. But for the demigods and for anybody else, it's not required. In fact, it is not recommended, because there has to be a difference between worshiping Krishna and worshiping the others. And that worship, so that means that worship is actually reserved only for Krishna, and respect and affection may be there for others, but that affection is exhibited differently to worship. We don't chant rounds. We don't chant names of Ganesh. We don't do Abhishek of Ganesh. We don't do all these things. We respect, yes, but we don't worship. And that if somebody understands, okay, I actually want to please Ganesh, then they will understand that you don't need to do this. You just need to worship Krishna. Ganesh is pleased, Shiva is pleased, Indra is pleased, Chandika Kali is pleased. But those who don't, and they think, I have affection, means they are more eager to worship those entities according to their own desires, rather, or their own sort of limited understanding, rather than actually take information from Shastra, which is logical, and which displays the actual desires of those demigods. Instead of taking all that, they'll follow what they think is, oh, we've been doing this for so long. We've been doing so many things for so long. Why are we still in the material world? Because we were wrong. We so many wrong and so many we are conditioned. So the whole purpose of coming to Krishna consciousness, accepting Guru and reading Shastra is to transform one's behavior. If one thinks, well, I was doing this for so long, you were doing so many things for so long. It does just because you did something for so long, just because your ancestors did something for so long, does that mean you need to do it? It's not a good argument for somebody who is actually interested, who's actually on the path of liberation, who's actually on the path of self-realization. Okay, what's your second question?
Yes, sorry. Thank you, sir. So the second question was, it was from the Bhajana, Dustamana, Matsuko was explaining it. So he gave some examples of previous acharyas, like Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj and other acharyas, those who are not well educated. And Matsu said that for growing in spiritual life, like we don't have to go to Harvard University. And at the same time, there is a one concept came in for bridge preaching, that nowadays devotees, like they are scholarly person, learned all the Bhagavatam slokas and stuti. And he said, but still they go to like universities or still like to like. But when I talk with somebody, if somebody asks, then people usually say we need to study, because if you are well educated and you go to preach after you are getting, like if someone knows your designation, you're highly educated, and then you preach, the impact would be great. So it is good to preach, but at the same time, what Motso Prabhu said, like I know, I agree that, and even I also know that the more you're gonna educate in material world, the more you're gonna become a fool. But we see so many senior devotees, those who are well educated, even Keshavanand Prabhu, they are Dr. Sachi Prabhu, and at the same time, they also insist like don't go for the higher degrees, but how to understand this thing?
Well, the point is, if somebody has a higher degree, they can use it in Krishna service. But um, it is not that we try to pursue such a higher degree. Srila Prabhupada did, if somebody was already in university and things like that, Srila Prabhupada did allow them to continue that. And there was some idea Srila Prabhupada had where he wanted some of his disciples to get PhDs, um, specifically PhDs, nothing else. Other degrees everybody has. It's not so, at least in North America. It's not that just because you have a master's degree, people respect you more than somebody who just has a bachelor's degree and has a job. It's just not true. In India also, these things used to be there, but it's previously it was like, oh, he's IIT, IIM, and um, but and maybe in India there is some in that, but there are so many people who are already doing that. The best way for a preacher is to go to to go to such people and make them Krishna conscious, and then they can utilize their credentials and try to preach Krishna consciousness. But not that somebody who doesn't have it goes and tries to get it. That is not our philosophy. And the other thing is, so regarding PhDs, Srila Prabhupada did say that. However, experience has been so far that those devotees who have gotten these PhDs, they get them so that they can get them and then they can go and influence other PhDs and other scholars. But in most cases, they become influenced themselves. And so, based on this pattern, it's actually doubtful and it's maybe even recommended that we don't go that route. Um, and if someone was to go that route, they have to be extremely fixed up, extremely qualified. And I mean, some of these extremely qualified and extremely fixed up devotees in the past have really fallen victim to modern scholarship and academian thought, which actually runs directly in contradiction to Krishna consciousness. It almost feels like it 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 may be better for our own spiritual life and for the movement in general that this is very cautiously approached and to some degree is actually discouraged for most part because so many devotees have fallen victim to this.
I'm truly sorry. And another like
additional question on the same topic. Matsya Prabhu said about the sampradaya that like bogus gurus and other sampradayas. So on that point, I had a different question. Like, okay, what if someone is not connected with the authentic sampradaya, but still there are few examples. Those are like what I heard. They're like pure devotees, like Mirabai, and then in Gujarat there is a Narsi Mehta. They say incarnation of one of the king. I forgot. So
Mhm.
what about like because the Rasik devotees in Vrindavan? You guys, it's specifically topic on Vrindavan. Motsa Prabhu were discussing. So one devotee here also said, "Oh, you cannot judge anybody because they are not connected to any sampradayas. That doesn't mean that they cannot go back to Godhead."
And what did Mahotsa say?
Now I had this question, like I have to
Oh,
ask him.
you
Yeah,
didn't
but
ask him. I see. Um, you see, um, it is not possible, at least according to so according to Shastra, it is not possible to go back to Godhead unless one is connected in a bona fide sampradaya. The thing is, if a devotee is genuine in his Krishna consciousness, we may not know exactly how he is connected to a genuine sampradaya, but he must be if he was genuine in all regards. If the philosophy is correct, if his devotional practice is correct, then he is connected. How he is connected, we may not know. So we don't. So the judgment is twofold. Um, if it is current and existing people, we generally see, are they connected to some sampradaya? Are they connected? If they are not, then you know, like especially those of today's day and age, then you have to see that they are connected to sampradaya. If they are not connected to sampradaya, then it has to be seen. Now, even if they are connected to Sampradaya, still the other qualification, which is that one has to properly practice Krishna consciousness. Anya Bilashita Shunya, Jnana Karma Dhyanavritam. It has to be free from jnana, karma, yoga, other material desires, and misconceptions that are contradictory to what Krishna says in Shastra. All these things should be absent. Then one is considered a pure devotee. And that litmus test can be applied to anybody, even those historical people in the past, Mirabai and others. Now, I am not too well read about Mirabai, and I have heard of Narsingh Mehta. Um, but these are questions to ask local devotees of that particular region who might know more about them. And to ask, for instance, in Maharashtra, there is Tukaram. Obviously, Prabhupada himself has written in his purports that Tukaram is a disciple of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, many people might not know that, but because he's a disciple of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's actually in Sampradaya and he's a pure devotee. Now, on the other hand, um, there is Jnana, what's his name? Hmm, Namdev, and then, but not Namdev, but there's Nyananand or somebody there was. I forgot. These are very, very popular saints. One of them is thought to be a Vaishnava, but he's actually a Mayavadi. Um, and they claim connection and allegiance to Tukaram, but actually they are influenced by Mayavad. Local devotees can tell that. So that you have to ask senior devotees of that region and area who are practicing properly. They can give a proper idea of this. Okay.
Thank you.
Bhagesh,
Hare Krishna Prabhu Pranam.
Pranam, yes.
So, my question is like, we know that like we have heard in I have heard in Guru Maharaj lectures and in our sessions too that Krishna doesn't accept the food which is cooked by a non-devotee, right?
Mm.
So when I said this to someone, then he started arguing that uh, like and I said the example of Krishna Bhagwan when he goes to um, the place. Then Duryodhana had prepared 56 boga, and he denies it and just eat the peels of bananas in the Vidur's place. But they said that this example is not perfect because Duryodhan was adharmi. That's why Krishna Bhagwan didn't eat at his food. So what to say this? And do we have any like reference from Srimad Bhagavatam or something?
There's so many. I mean, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there are so many references, but and in Bhagavatam also, I mean, you can see so many purports. Srila Prabhupada writes this. Um, but that, and Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Prayachati. This is the proof that Bhaktya Prayachati, it must be done in devotion. And Bhaktya devotion can only be executed by a devotee. And then you go to the qualifications of who is a devotee. That a
Okay.
devotee is one who accepts Krishna as supreme, like this. Therefore, Krishna accepts that offering. Otherwise, he doesn't accept.
Okay.
So that's the point. You know, so bhaktya prayachati, it has to be a devotee. Then what are the qualifications of devotee? People have to understand who's a devotee, who's not a devotee. And so yeah, that's
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
makes sense to me. Thank you.
I have Bhagesh Prabhu, if I have question, continue, because I have a question in Bhagesh Prabhu's question.
No, Prabhu, you
So,
can continue.
so Prabhuji, my question is, as we say, Ganesha and other demigods are the devotees of Krishna, and we also say in our sampradaya, if we eat remnants of a pure devotee, then we become advanced. So, so the same end, we say, no, we cannot take prasadam which is offered to Ganesha and other demigods.
Well, if the prasad is offered to Ganesh after it's been offered to Krishna, then we can take it. But if it is offered directly to Ganesh without being offered to Krishna, yes, you take the Mahaprasadam devotee, but devotee only eats Krishna prasadam, then you can take it. But the problem is when they offer it directly, how they will take? You know, devotees are not supposed to take, but nowadays devotees go buy anything and anything in anywhere, any restaurant and eat it, and then they think the demigods are also like that. What to do? Your standard of devotional service is bogus, and then you Atmavan Manyate Jagat, you apply that everywhere else.
So, Prabhuji, for instance, a Bhaktivinoda Thakur's parents say, we offer bhogas to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, or Guru Maharaj, Vyas Puja, we offered him.
So Guru Maharaj we offer, but Guru Maharaj is specifically for Guru Maharaj, he orders that it all be offered to Krishna first, and then he takes. With other acharyas, when the offering is done, there is a bowl of tulsi leaves that is placed next to that. And it is understood that those acharyas offer it to Krishna. They offer it to Krishna. We give it to them, they offer it to Krishna, then they honor it, and then they give it back to us. So a bowl of tulsi leaves is specifically placed for that purpose. Because they make the offering.
So in that case, Ganesha cannot offer to Krishna if someone says.
But there is Ganesha. But why we have to perform that service? We have to perform the service. That is what is done for the demigods. If you look in Puri, there is a deity of Bimala, which is Durga Devi, inside the temple, Puri temple, and Bimala gets the prasad of Jagannath. First, everything goes to Jagannath, offered to Jagannath. Then it goes to Bimala Devi. And then we can honor what's Bimala Devi. So this is done in multiple places. It was previously even done for Lingaraj in Bhubaneswar, but then they stopped the practice. That first, whatever was offered to Jagannath would go to Lingaraj. So this is the practice that is followed for the demigods. For the acharyas, there is a different practice because the acharyas are different to the demigods. The acharyas are above the demigods. The acharyas are more pure than the demigods. This is our philosophy. The devotee, but everybody is not the same kind of devotee.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, I'm sorry. Narayan says people claim Vivekananda to be a great devotee. People claim anything. People have no clue about anything. It's like it's like it's a joke. It's like the Christians saying that you know some of the current presidents of the United States are very dear to Jesus. But the current president of the United States Uh, he is also well known to have been running after so many women. And how is somebody who's dear to Jesus, somebody who does these kind of things? No understanding, no philosophy. So same thing. And people have no understanding. What can you do?
Yeah, Prabhuji, just when you were mentioning about the like the devotees from the Sampradaya, like when you give the example of Sant Tukaram, so I was just referring to that because these days many people say that like particularly on the meat thing that Vivekananda used to eat meat. And isn't he a great devotee? Then Ramakrishna Paramanta used to eat fish. Isn't it a great devotee? Like people can those things just to for their
Devotees
own
don't eat meat.
yeah for their own satisfaction that they are great devotees who eat meat, so I want to eat meat as well. Like that's what their argument is.
Yeah, they're devotees, they're great devotees. They're great devotees of Kali, not Krishna.
Yeah.
It's true. They're devotees of Kali.
Hmm.
Kali devotees eat meat. Sunil?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I have
Hare
one
Krishna.
question.
Yes, Mataji.
So, in this month, Dhanurmasam, we perform specific puja to Lord Vishnu and Lord Marinda. So, how as part of the our sampradaya, how do we actually perform specific pujas for Lord Krishna in this specific occasion?
Well, this month specifically in our Sampradaya is known for distributing books. That is Srila Prabhupada's desire. This is also the month that the Bhagavad Gita appeared. Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita. Um, and so this month is very auspicious for book distribution. And this Christmas time, everything is just fantastic for book distribution. This is really, really part of our part of the culture that was established by during Srila Prabhupada's personal presence. Also in this month, there is the Katyayani Vrata, um, which is executed by the gopis, because this is one of the coldest months in India, and they would worship Krishna. And then you have the Vastra Harana Leela, where Krishna steals the garments of the gopis and fulfills their desires. So these are things we remember, although per se, really this month in our Sampradaya is just focused on Bhagavad Gita. Devotees specifically really try to distribute that book a lot. Um, the other importance of the Dhanurmasam, it's also called as Margari in Tamil, is coming from the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya because um, Andal, she sang her Tirupavai during this month. And therefore, it's very auspicious. And yes, this month in Shastra is said to be extremely auspicious for worshipping Vishnu. And this is one of those months where no marriages are allowed. Um, no, this month is, and one of the reasons for that is because it's very cold and people rise early in the morning and then they go and do Nagar Sankirtan, specifically in this month. Early in the morning, they would go around chanting. I've seen this in many Sri Vaishnava temples, and that culture that is there from the Vaishnavas to worship Vishnu got spilled over to the other demigods, and now everybody does it. Um, um, all the worshippers of the other demigods, in at least in Tamil Nadu, they would go around. They would gather in the morning and in groups, and then they would sing all these different bhajans going around. And in this month, it was considered very auspicious. Somebody who was very religious would wake up early in the morning, um, and it's foggy, cold. They would go to the river, bathe, and then um, worship in this month. So this month was reserved for that purpose. But again, as devotees, there's not something too much different. See, for others, they would only rise early this month. But devotees, we are rising early every day. So we are worshipping every day at 4:30 in the morning. We have Mangalarti. Um, So there's not much different to what we are doing, but others, for them, it's important. And in the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, they give specific importance to chanting Tirupavali in these months. But to be honest, those who I've seen fixed up Sri Vaishnavas who would recite Tirupavali throughout the year, and for them, there would not be much of a difference during this Dhanurmasam. So the Dhanurmasam has the same principle like the month of Kartik. For those who are fixed up devotees, the only difference is that they're offering one lamp every day. Other than that, they are already engaged in Krishna consciousness. They are already engaged to the maximum degree or their capacity in Krishna consciousness throughout the year. Therefore, what more can they do? Maybe they'll fast a little extra or something like that. Nothing really too much. But for those who are making advancement in Krishna consciousness, these months are encouraging. Okay, now this month has come. Let me try to do this for this month. But the idea is that by using that month, one develops a taste to continue that practice beyond that month. And that's the difference between those who are those who are worshipping Krishna in pure devotional service versus those who are worshipping Krishna out of material desires, Krishna or demigods, out of material desires. Those who are worshipping out of material desires, they are doing it out of the mode of passion. Mode of passion means for some time I do something very intense, very serious, only to give it up at a later stage. But devotees, they continue practices because they are in the mode of goodness and they are aspiring to go to the mode of um, purified goodness. So, yeah, transcendental goodness, which is steady. So, I hope that answers your question.
Yes, yes, Prabhuji. Yeah, I heard Tirupavali, so it's very nice. It's very ecstatic.
And very ecstatic, no doubt. Very ecstatic, no doubt. But that's what she's singing. Most of Tirupavali is actually in the mood of Brajvasis. They are singing Krishna's pastimes, and they are in the mood of them being gopis and like this. So, yeah.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Okay, Hare Krishna. All right, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Oh, one thing actually. So can we do our reading session this week on Monday evening and then do the class on Wednesday evening? This is because of my travels. Otherwise I won't be able to do it. So, okay, I'm seeing on the reactions. Okay, all right, so everybody's in approval. So Monday evening, 7:30 p.m. We'll do the reading. And Wednesday, 7 p.m., we'll have class. Wednesday? Yes, Wednesday. That's correct. Okay. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha, kripa sindhubhyo cha, patitanam pavane